Cash Global TV subscribe
on Mystery Wire. Basically, he says that if the next round of the government UAP disclosures do not address the allegations involving reverse engineering programs, recovered craft, and biologics, then additional files, the file structure seen in Sleeping Dog, basically, could be released outside of official channels. Take a listen to what Corbell said.
If they don't come out with the next drop having to do with reverse engineering, non-human intelligence craft, and if they don't address or begin to address biologics, then they saw in Sleeping Dog the file systems. That's not just in my hands anymore. That's not just in George Knapp's hands. They have promised transparency on what they know on UAP. Our government, in parts, has that information. It is time to tell the American public the truth. Sleeping Dog, you see in there what is possible, but it's up to them because of you to make it happen.
I would argue that the most important part of this isn't the threat to actually release the files. It's the expectations, right? I mean, a growing number of people now expect future disclosures to address these allegations of reverse engineering programs and biologics directly. And if those topics continue to be avoided, then I see no point in continuing these somewhat kind of unhelpful UAP file drops.
That individual who was speaking name is Jeremy Corbell. First and foremost, they're allowing him to say what he's saying. If you think there's top generals and the smartest individuals across the globe are being disappeared and he's being allowed to freely speak, think again.
Ticks like indestructible, and also with the rise of alpha-gal in the United States like becoming so prominent that people are scared to go into the woods. What's going on with the chicken nowadays? Yeah, what you see behind me is all ticks. But before we go over indestructible ticks and the chicken, I want to show you something. My buddy Connecting Conscious just made a video about this. Just listen to what he has to say real quick.
The crazy part is, if it's anything like rats, there's not known to be many rats in the interior of Canada up here or in the States here because of the mountains. They can't really get over the mountains apparently. But these ticks, I guess if they happen to fall out of a plane, they could get anywhere, couldn't they? Now, I'm of course not suggesting that anyone's finding any boxes of anything on their farms and stuff, although I have seen a bunch of videos about it. But who do you blame on that when there's no name on the box, no trademark, no property of mention on the box? It's just a blank box that a million ticks crawl out of.
And now it gets really weird because these new ticks, they don't drown. And for some reason, I feel like if you took a match to one, they would still stay alive as well. So bajillions of ticks everywhere, especially where they're not usually even seen. Ticks that survive underwater like fish. All of a sudden, so much of humanity in the United States is getting alpha-gal, and now the chickens are evolving to where you cannot even eat them. Yo, this is life in 2020.
Not familiar with alpha-gal. It's a disease you get where you're not able to eat red meat when you get bit by one of these ticks. There's always something going on. Follow the money is something I would say.
Massive earthquake just hit today off the coast of Cuba, and it was felt in Florida and as far away as Cancun. Yeah, basically that whole region felt it. The earthquake in Cuba, which was a 6.1 magnitude, and let me tell you, as someone who's lived through a few earthquakes, that's pretty big. Had tremors afterwards, not only in Cuba, but in Florida. Now this follows the past few days, where we've had a few major earthquakes around the globe. Like this 7.8 magnitude earthquake yesterday near the Philippines. A 3.8 magnitude earthquake in Vegas just a couple days ago. And there were a few just off the coast of California, like this 5.7 magnitude that was just between Northern California and Oregon. All but one of those earthquakes, the Vegas one, were somewhere in the ocean. And all of the ocean earthquakes were at least a 5.7 magnitude or bigger. Now, before you all flip out, I'm not saying it's all connected, but at the same time, I'm not a big believer in coincidence. So when we get a bunch of earthquakes in the span of a few days, all in the oceans, except for the Vegas one. And they're all a 5.7 magnitude or bigger. I'm concerned that something could possibly be
Global Mafia, what's the deal? Back to your home for non-mainstream news, TikToks, conspiracy theories, and the knowledge that's going to be straight truth. Let's disassociate from that indoctrination the system tried to give us and get right down along to the facts. One person will never know everything, but as a collective, we're going to figure it all out. Let's get to this data center information, these earthquakes, the non-natural weather or natural, and let's have a healthy conversation in the comments. Let's get to it.
Cash Global TV subscribe.
You might be able to live forever. If you're like most people, at some point you've probably thought of the potential of immortality, living forever. You know, the futuristic world. This isn't real, it's sci-fi. Well, maybe it is. At the moment, time catches up with all of us. We age, we get diseases, and ultimately we all die. It's inevitable. A lot of people have been talking about this and freaking that out recently, which is why I wanted to talk about it. Because reportedly, if you can survive until the year 2050, not even that long away, you will be able to live forever. What is it, like a checkpoint? What? No, the reason apparently is they will have a cure for death by 2050. But believe it or not, there's actually a research company developing this right now. And this is more believable than you think. There are these little robot things called nanobots that will actually be placed inside of your body and they will go into your bloodstream. And they basically work as like doctors inside of your body checking up on everything that's working. They'll be programmed to target specific cells and areas of the body to check for any damage or any irregularities. And then of course when they find something that's not right, they will actually actively work to fix it, which is crazy, but you can kind of imagine that. But if you look up the current world population, it's over 8.2 billion people right now. And we're kind of overinflated right now. And just today, over 165,000 people have been born and 80,000 have died today already. So imagine no one dies and we just keep adding 200, 300,000 people to the population every day. We'd be cooked. But the crazy thing is the research developing these nanobots isn't a million miles away. This is actually going to start happening soon. Maybe the robots won't be curing everything for us, but having these things in tablets that are like gut bacteria that go in, tell us when something's wrong, we go to the GP and it gets fixed. This is a reality and this is crazy.
Man loves trying to play God, doesn't he? So spam it up in the comments. What do y'all feel about this? And do you have a desire to live eternally in this form, in this etherical realm? Let me know.
Scientists when it comes to UFOs, but I think the most qualified people are the ones that have been here the longest. This is Clifford Mahudi of the Zuni Pueblo tribe, who are direct descendants of the Pueblo people, and they have their own answer to the UFO question. So let's give it a listen.
The dark forces have tipped the scales to their side, which looks like they're winning at this point. The reason they're not going to win is because they're not in charge. It doesn't make any difference how high or how great they think they are. They're not in charge. Now, the people that the beings that are in charge are the forces that created the earth. You can call it the great creator. You can call it energy. You can call it light source. But if you look at, for example, in the Zuni mythology and the creation myth, it was not some machine or some being or some nuts and bolts type thing that came or a creative computer type. It was a light source that came, and the only reason that we know about, he had emissaries that took, well, maybe they did all the menial labor, so to speak. And that's all Indian tribes have that twin warrior mythology in their religious makeup. But the basic thing that occurs, or a question that you're asking, is that they've always been here. The people that are the keepers and the watchers, they've always been here, and the white men call them angels. They call other things throughout the different peoples of the world. But they've always been here. The only thing that they do not.
There are so many people getting videos of branches and stuff just floating in the air. I know some of the people in the comments are arguing that it could just be spider webs going from one tree to another tree and the branches actually holding on to that. And you know, Mrs. Pyramid makes fun of me a lot, but I know I've seen planes that look like they're just floating in the air. I mean full on in one single location, no noise coming out of them whatsoever, and just floating in one single spot. You know, it could just be a trick of the mind, but I truly believe I've seen planes just floating in the sky. You know, and this talk can go all kinds of ways. You know, it could be a glitch in the matrix. That's what I hear from a lot of people. You know that all of this is a simulation, and the Truman Show stuff that they got going on kind of messed up at that time. You know, maybe everything that we see in the sky actually isn't in the sky, it's just a projection of things in a fake sky, a television screen sky. And you know, those planes that I know I've seen just floating, and then all these people posting videos of branches floating in the sky, and them walking underneath them and everything, especially this weird one with this bird on it right here. You know, all of that could be glitches, and we're seeing what we think we're seeing, but they don't want us to.
No, y'all seen them branches? People are saying those are spiders. Well, they must be some large spiders that are trying to inhale them birds or something. Not going for it. Gotta be a glitch.
I want to know what these massive data centers that they're pushing so hard to build are really for. But we're also hearing how much water these things are going to eat up, how much power these are going to eat up. They're going to eat up more power than a whole city itself, which makes me wonder, what are they really powering? All the AI we have going on right now is already being powered by what we have. What are we building that's so insane that we need that much more power and that much more water and that much more energy? And linking back to what Catherine Austin Fitts said a while back, who was the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development for the Bush administration, she claimed that the Bush administration built a massive $21 trillion city underground for the elites. That's a big claim. But what I want to know is, are these data centers being built to power AI? Or are they being built to power a world underneath us that we can't see and we're not allowed to see? I don't know. Oh, but I want to know. I want to know why I was today years old to find out when the Challenger shuttle exploded on January 28th, 1986, the crew did not die instantly like we were told. Growing up, that was what we were shown. That is what we were told. Apparently, that's not exactly what happened. See, NASA deemed it too sensitive and too emotional to reveal this information to the public. This crew consisted of Dick Scobie, Judith Resnick, Michael J. Smith, Ellison Onizuka, Gregory Jarvis, and Krista McAuliffe. On January 28, 1986, when the Challenger shuttle took off, the external fuel tank ruptured and it tore the orbiter apart, blowing up in the sky. Everybody on the ground just looked up in awe as this tragedy unfolded. Everyone was watching live on television. Even schools. Children saw this shuttle explode. But apparently what we weren't told is the crew cabin remained largely intact as it fell 65,000 feet down to the ocean. And also what we weren't told was that investigations found that 3 of the 7 astronauts activated their PEEPs, which is a personal egress air pack, which does not deploy without somebody activating it, which means 3 of these people activated it as things went bad. These are emergency oxygen devices that do not activate automatically. Someone has to activate it for it to work. In the midst of the shuttle blowing up, to have the wherewithal to do that is impressive. But this was not shared with the public. We were told they were killed instantly. And for 2 minutes and 45 seconds, the 3 astronauts that supposedly activated their PEEPs were Commander Dick Scobie, pilot Mike Smith, and mission specialist Judith Resnick. NASA is certain that several of these astronauts survived the initial explosion, at least for a little bit, before it hit the ocean. This was a very profound moment in the history of the United States, and for NASA, and for the public, who were rooting for these people to go up into space. This also paused the space program for quite a while because they needed to reconfigure things, get more money, and take their time to figure it out. But what I want to know is, what else aren't they telling us about this shuttle? And what else aren't they telling us about what happened to it? And what else are they covering up?
Well, I'm sure everybody knows by now they have become teachers. One even professors out of college. Another one teaches a science class. And they are the exact same people and have been confronted by creators. We've been led a different direction than the truth. I'll tell you that.
One of the most intriguing Bigfoot photos I've ever seen. It's a very close-up and high-definition capture of what looks to be a mother and a baby. Its original release date isn't exactly known, but it was highlighted in late August of 2025, and it's believed to come from California. Check it out. We see a humanoid primate-type creature making its way through some brush. And on its back is indeed a baby, a very small, similar-looking creature, sleeping and clutching onto its shoulders. I mean, this picture is crazy. We can see both creatures insanely well. Well enough to see it's not any kind of species we know of. The mom is too upright and human-like to be any kind of monkey species or anything. And they both look too realistic to be costumes. I mean, look at the realism in the facial features, not just of the mom, but the baby too. Its face is void of any hair and a grayish color, and it looks childlike. But because of the realistic look and seemingly genuine scene, many enjoy this image and think it's the real deal. One of the best Bigfoot photos.
Now, if you didn't catch it, rewind it and zoom in on the baby Bigfoot facial expression. Looks like he was sleeping pretty peacefully. I don't know, that threw me off. Bigfoot real? Is it not real? It's illegal to hunt Bigfoot in a few states. What's going on? They're interdimensional or are they never existent? Let me know how y'all feel.
Comes from a group of deep-sea fishermen out of Mexico. They were out fishing when something weird started circling their boat and attempting to steal their fish that they were reeling in. And it's something they've never seen before. This is a weird shark, fish. They called it a fish, but we don't know what it is. Take a look at this. Comment below and let us know if you know what this thing is.
Punta más profundo. Creo que vienen más. Está pesado. Mira, los dientes, mira. Suelta, suelta un poco. ¿Qué coño hacemos con esto? No sé, pero no lo quiero abordar.
We go in the compilation right there. Obviously, that was some variation of a sea creature, a shark mixed with who knows what. It's a lot of ocean. We don't be in it, and we can't go deep down where even everything else can live at. But let me know how y'all feel about this compilation. Let me know what's the next deep dive you want me to go on. Appreciate all the new global members. Let's spam this video up. Hit that like button for me if you made it this far. Always give you my narrative and opinion, even if we don't agree. And I am Cash, capital K, $sign for that.
I'm trying to make a decision between pushing cream or leaving the game crispy clean. I want to make it to the Forbes list. Marble slabs around the pad, 3-car garage.